What's going on, y'all? My name is Deron Shields, and I'm finally back with another movie review. This time I'm reviewing Is God Is. Funny story, I actually recorded this review already, but I lost my memory card after I shot it. So this is my second recording of it, but with no further ado, let's get into my review of Is God Is. Make your daddy dead. Real dead. Two sisters embark on an epic quest for revenge, confronting a charged family history that pushes them to extraordinary lengths. As soon as I saw glimpses of this trailer, I knew that this was the type of movie I kind of wanted to see. I could see that they had kind of a visceral story to it. The mother being burned alive and the kids kind of being burned as well, and the father kind of getting away with it, and them just being tasked with the mission of just killing their dad. That's just basically the whole movie's mission. Racine and Anaya, they're twins, and they're living together, kind of forming a life together. They got this routine and this really unique twin bond. They get a letter in the mail from their thought to be dead mother, played by Vivica A. Fox. So they go to visit her, and they kind of get the story explained to them as to what happened. They thought that she was dead, and you see that she's like burned pretty much her whole body. She got these A's on her sides that help her, braiding her hair when they first walk in. And they kind of, they give her weed for her pain. But she gives them the story that, no, I didn't die. This is how it happened. And basically gives them the mission of going to kill their father. And from there, that sets us off on this road trip where we encounter all these different characters. And eventually, they do catch up with their father. As far as acting, I was not familiar with Kara Young or Mallory Johnson. Apparently, Kara Young is a Tony-winning actress on Broadway, I think. And fun fact, this movie is actually based on a stage play, which I thought that in some of the acting and some of the lines and like the way that they are written are kind of like poetic in a way that I would associate with like a stage play, but not necessarily in a bad way, not like a Tyler Perry way, but like it just came off a little bit more poetic and abstract, especially like when they were talking in third person and stuff like that, or even how they referred to Vivica Fox's character as God. It just seemed more like poetic than the typical screenplay. But I think the acting actually was very solid. I think I really bought into the twins being twins and their connection and their bond. They're always like helping each other with the scars, with ice. So I really bought their performances. I thought they did a really good job. This is my first time seeing either one of them, I think. But Vivica A. Fox, obviously, you got Sterling K. Brown, Janelle Monáe. I think everybody did a good job. Vivica A. Fox's character was not on screen very, very long, but is a very important character, very kind of central character to the story. Janelle Monáe did a good job. She had like kind of a small amount of screen time, but I think she did well. Sterling K. Brown did a good job. He even changed his voice a little bit. Oh, and one of my favorite comedic performances was Erica Alexander. She played Divine, and they had this like church cult situation going on in a house or whatever. I liked her character. I liked her character in like a ironic way, I guess. So yeah, I think overall the acting actually was very good in the movie. Message, if this movie has a message, I think it's of the bond that the sisters have, the love that they have for their mother and for each other, and it's retribution. I mean, it's a revenge story. So they're obviously going to draw blood from some people. But I think that is that. I do think there's a little bit of a kind of an anti-man message. I'm not offended by it. I noticed that it seemed like just about every man in it was a bad guy. Other than like the Chuck Hall character, he ended up being okay. He was kind of weird. And the Riley twin, of the male twins that you meet later on, Riley seemed like he was the more like this like chill character until they killed his brother, and then he tried to kill Anaya. So understandably so, but whatever. But yeah, there was a little bit of an anti-man. I mean, even the main villain, his name is just Man, but nothing too crazy, I guess. As far as cinematography, I think the movie is shot in a pretty straightforward way. I do think that they took maybe some more liberties with the editing. There's a lot of like split screen stuff going on. Every flashback, there's usually like a sepia tone thing to it. And then there's like something that is in full color while everything else is in sepia tone, kind of emphasize whatever. They even do this whole thing to kind of like drive home the bond between the sisters where they don't even actually speak verbally. They're just like looking at each other and having a whole conversation. when we're seeing their thoughts pop up on screen. That threw me off at first. It was kind of fast. It took me a minute to get like my like reading brain going to like catch all the different little quick thoughts that they were showing on screen. But I thought that was cool. That was something unique. Once again, I like movies that swing for the fences. One thing about that, sometimes swing for the fences you miss and you miss bad, but I don't think this one missed per se. They took some liberties though, so, and which I appreciate. As far as pacing, I think the story structure of the movie, it keeps you interested and keeps you kind of like waiting to see what's going to happen next. You keep getting these like very distinct and kind of like unique characters. You get, Divine, you got Chuck Hall, the lawyer guy. Who else? Ezekiel was there. Angie, the twins. Like you watch our main characters encounter these other very distinct characters throughout, and as they're looking for leads and looking for, clues as to where their father is. So I think that actually kept it from feeling like it was dragging on. Once we get to the house with the twins, I do think that the pacing kind of slows down. And I think if I'm not mistaken, they're in the same spot. Once they get to the father's house, they're in that same location for the rest of the movie, I think. So I think the third act does drag a little bit. All right, moving on to the ending. They find the father. They've already, killed Angie. They've killed the twins. And the father comes home, very nonchalant, looking at dead body, looking at his dead kids or whatever. And he goes to make a sandwich. And then Anaya's character has a conversation with him, asking him why he did it. He's just like, she wouldn't let me hold her. That's why I did it or whatever. He's coming off almost more like remorseful and kind of this like easygoing. And then we see that that's just like a charade. He ends up fighting the twins. And they get the better of him. They get him into the bathroom, douse him with alcohol, light him on fire. And we think that, okay, there we go. We got our retribution. We got a revenge. We did what God wanted us to do. And at the last second, Man, or Sterling K. Brown's character, reaches out of the flames and grabs Racine, pulls her in, and Racine dies. I did not think that was needed at all. That was such a confusing death. It was like maybe 10, 15 minutes left in the movie. It might have probably more like 10. And we get one of our main characters dying. Very unnecessary to me. I didn't understand that choice. I don't know if that's like this part of the stage play, but minus that, I think the ending would have been okay. But that just left me kind of confused. And throughout the movie, Anaya's character, they're hinting at the fact that she's pregnant. And after her sister dies, she runs out of the house, and we get her narrating the story and kind of just like, follow her as she becomes a mother. And then eventually, soon after that, the movie ends. Very unnecessary death, I felt like, for Racine. I felt like they did all that just for her to die at the very end. So I did not care for the ending very much at all. But overall, the movie was good, but the ending kind of threw me off. The rewatchability of this one, I actually do want to see this one again. I probably won't go see it in the theaters again, but once it's on streaming, I'm sure I'll at least give it one more watch. Because otherwise, other than the ending, I think it was pretty good. It was a pretty good movie. It was very unique. It had some comedic elements, more specifically with the Divine character, Erica Alexander. I thought that was one of the funnier parts of the movie. But yeah, rewatchability, I would rewatch this one for sure. I also thought they was going to do more with the title. I didn't understand like the phrasing of the title, Is God Is. They explain Vivica Fox's character being called God based on the fact that she created the twins. So from their perspective, she might as well be God. So, and that was it. So I thought there might have been more to that, but it seemed like I was reading too far into it. Okay, so for my score of Is God Is, I'm going to give Is God Is 7.5 out of 10 reels. I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was a great premise. Very like I said, stylized, like Western style, almost Kill Bill style. Black cast. I thought everybody's acting was good. It really was mainly the ending that I did not like. I didn't understand why one of our main characters died right before the end. But other than that, I thought the movie was pretty good. It did drag toward the end. So a little bit of pacing issues toward the end to me. And then just like the story direction of losing one of our twins right before the end of the movie, right after they got seemingly their their revenge. But other than that, it was a good movie. It wouldn't keep me from seeing it again or watching it again. But let me know what y'all think. Did the death of Racine at the end throw you off at all, or like make you feel kind of like, why did that happen? I was actually in the theater with maybe a handful of people, and a lady out loud, about 4 rows in front of me, said, "It got good reviews, but it's just terrible." I did not think it was terrible. I didn't even think it was bad. I thought that it was actually a pretty good movie. I think that it could have used some tweaks, like as far as pacing toward the end. Like I said, it dragged on a little bit to me. And then just like the fact that one of the main characters that we followed the whole time ends up dying right toward the end. I can see maybe in the middle, or like, 3/4 of the way through the movie, that happening to give some stakes, to give some like gravity and impact to the remaining characters. But it seemed like it happened and then the movie was over pretty much. So let me know what y'all think. Did that throw y'all off, or was it fine? And what would you rate this movie 1 through 10? But my name is Deron Shields. Thank you guys so much for tuning into my review. I'm out.